Hi, Jules here, and you're listening to JulesFM. Sam Mitchell's career as a champion footballer and inspiring coach was definitely not an accident or a lucky break. Speaking with him recently, it was really easy to see why he was so successful as a player and then able to move into his role as the influential, humble and highly effective coach he is at Hawthorn. We often see Sam as the finished product, premiership captain, premiership coach, one of the sharpest minds in the game. But what was really fascinating was how much of his journey had been built on things we don't always see or even celebrate enough. Being willing to learn, backing your strengths, and doing the hard, unglamorous thinking after both wins and losses. One of the biggest things that resonated with me was how honest Sam was about the moments where it looked like he wasn't going to make it. There's a point in his story where, on paper, the dream basically ends. Other players are getting noticed, getting drafted, and he's not. And that could have been the point where he just quietly shifted into a different life. What I loved was he didn't sugarcoat how hard that felt. But he also didn't turn it into a dramatic movie moment either. He just kept choosing to stay in the game, literally and figuratively. For me, it was a reminder that sometimes making it isn't about one big heroic decision. It can be a string of very unglamorous choices just to keep going when the signs are telling you not to. It made me ask myself, where am I interpreting a delay as a dead end instead of maybe just a detour? There is a saying I've heard that rejection is protection, and I love this because it helps me reframe setbacks and possible failures as an opportunity to step back and look at the big picture. Maybe I wasn't meant to be going down this route, or be invited to that party, or win the game, or whatever it was, because by not achieving it, or having it, or getting it, or being invited, it makes me rethink what I need to do next, or where I need to go to achieve what it is I truly want. So I always feel that if something didn't go my way, or work out the way I wanted it to, then possibly there is actually a better way, or something I need to do, change, or maybe even to learn before I can move on and head in the direction I need to. Maybe even head in a slightly different direction. But I honestly trust that if it didn't work out, then I need to reassess, or I need to work harder at something, or I need to get better at something. Whatever it may be, but I trust the process that if there's a block, something hasn't worked out the way it is, I need to stop, take a moment and reassess. If we apply this to Sam, if he had been drafted early on, maybe he wouldn't have gone on to work so hard at improving his strengths, which in turn is what led to him having such a successful career. If it had have come too easily for him, he may not have lasted in the game as long. Because he may not have learnt the lessons he did or developed the resilience he has, which may have then impacted his selection as head coach of Hawthorn. Who knows? We just don't know. But as Sam even says, it's very hard to learn from winning. Only the greats do. And learning from losing is much easier, but both are essential to be the best. And certainly, when you get a setback or something doesn't go your way, learning from that is the best way to help propel you forward. A good reminder to reflect when things go well and to ask myself, what could I have done better? Or even if it technically worked, is there ways I can improve, or is there something I could do differently that would get even better results? And likewise, when things don't go well, as I said, stop, look at that moment and think, all right, is this the direction I'm meant to be heading? And if so, what do I need to do now to move forward? There was this idea Sam talked about that really challenged the way I think about improvement. In a school, if you get an A in one subject and a C in another, for example, everyone tells you to focus on lifting the C. That's how most of us are wired, Fix the weaknesses first. Get better at everything so that you can have, straight A's. But in elite sport, it doesn't work like that. Your C may become a B, but your edge is turning your A into an A+, and then an A++. And that really landed for me. Maybe that could apply to all areas of life and not just elite sport. I often catch myself pouring energy into the areas where I feel behind, the C, instead of doubling down on the things that are already my strengths: communication, connection, voice, storytelling. Sam's reminder was simple but powerful. Your strengths are not accidents. They're your leverage. And it made me rethink where I'm putting my practice time, and am I giving enough time to building on my strengths? Another thing that stood out was how Sam separates the noise from the information that really actually matters. He talked about being really clear on two things: what matters and what you can actually control. And anything that doesn't fit or sit in both those buckets, you let it go. It sounds simple, but when you apply it to criticism, it becomes a bit of a superpower. External noise, opinions, commentary, it only impacts if you let it. Dave Hughes said the same thing. You can choose whether you are offended by criticism, and it's your choice. But feedback from people who genuinely want the best for you, that's gold, even when it stings. For me, it was a quiet nudge to keep tightening that filter. Whose voice am I giving weight to? And does this thing I'm worrying about actually sit in the matters and controllable zone? Or is it just draining energy I need somewhere else? From a coaching lens, one of my favorite parts was how Sam breaks down a week and just how much of his job is about providing clarity. He talked about giving players really clear phases when reassessing or reviewing a game. And I loved this because I just thought, what a great way to compartmentalize perhaps a loss or even a win or whatever it may be. And the parts were take time to feel the emotions of a win or a loss. So have a day or two. I think he said there was like 24 to 48 hours. Feel whatever you want to feel. Then the next phase is it's time to review and learn. So look back on whatever it was. What did you learn? Were you given any feedback? What was your personal kind of takeaway from that moment or the game or the meeting or the exam, whatever it may be? Then the next stage is time to make progress. Okay, so how can I use that feedback, either the personal feedback or the one provided from a trusted mentor, and how can I improve so that I don't make the same mistake again or so that I can continue to build on my strengths? And then finally, it's time to prepare. And that is to start implementing those improvements or start making those changes or tweak one little thing so that the next game, meeting, exam, whatever it may be, is a little bit better and that you have grown and you've learned from whatever it was and the last one. And then also, it's really important that you shut down one phase before you move on to the next. And this was the bit I think that really stuck. I loved this because it's not just a football thing. It's a life thing. So many of us, me included, are trying to review the past, fix the present, and prepare for the future all at once. No wonder it feels messy. Sam's approach made me think, where can I create more structure and separation in my own week? Where do I need clearer lines between feeling, learning, and doing? Because that's really what he's giving to the players. Clarity that becomes confidence. And I'm sure there are many areas where I can apply that to my own life. And the last big thing that really stayed with me was his view of what separates a good coach from a great one. It wasn't tactics and it wasn't game plans. It was emotional intelligence. He talked about not treating everyone the same and how that old treat people how you want to be treated line doesn't quite work in coaching. Instead, it's treat people the way they need to be treated. Some players need more conversations, more warmth, more time spent with them. Others just want it straight. Tell me what I need to do and I'll do it. There was also this beautiful analogy he used about players and their environment. I won't spoil it here. You'll have to listen to the episode. But it really reframed the way I think about supporting people who are struggling or underperforming. It made me reflect on my own relationships in teaching and in life. Am I paying attention to who's in front of me? Or am I just defaulting to how I like to be spoken to, coached, taught, or encouraged, or whatever it may be? This has been particularly poignant for me as a parent of 3 very different children who have very different needs and the ways they like and want to be treated. That one fit for all definitely does not fit in our house. And as my kids get older, they're becoming clearer in the ways they want to be treated. So now it's up to me to adjust. And this shift in perspective was so well summed up in the way Sam coaches. It's no wonder he's so highly respected and regarded, and also so effective. We are all so different and have such different individual needs. It makes sense that we need to be met where we're at. If I had to boil down what I took from Sam into a few ideas, it would be this. Stay willing to learn, even when you think you know. Turn your strengths into your edge. Filter out the noise and listen deeply to the people who truly want the best for you. Don't just learn from the hard moments, learn from the wins, because that's where the gold is. And whether you're leading a team, a classroom, a family, or just yourself, remember that clarity, curiosity, and genuine care go a really, really long way. Thanks for listening to this Sam Mitchell recap on JulesFM. If you haven't listened to the episodes, go back and listen to them. Sam has so much wisdom, so much knowledge, and such great advice. Whether you're an aspiring athlete, a business person, a student, no matter what your area, Sam's advice is so helpful and useful. And if this sparks something for you, follow the show and share it with someone who's chasing their own version of success, on the field or far away from it. Until next time.